Hi everyone. Today's one of the fun occasions that I get to do an oil change in the 2006 NC. Again, my car does have a 2.5 liter with a cam in it, so it is a slightly different procedure. I use the 5W30 oil, but I'll get into that more in a moment. Let's go ahead and take you into the garage. Thank you. Okay, as for what I'm actually putting into my car, I use a 5W30 Royal Purple. While it's not technically racing oil, I find that it is generally better for hotter temperatures. I live in the Southeast, as well as engines that are revving high. I spend a lot of time between 4 and 6,500 RPMs. That said, that's my go-to. I use 5W30. Again, I live in the Southeast in Georgia. Gets extremely hot here, not very cold. I prefer to have a little bit thicker viscosity. AC Delco oil filter. As for the socket wrench, it's a 17 millimeter just to crack the oil plug, and then an oil filter wrench. Okay, obviously the Miata is already in the air. As for the locations where I actually jack up the vehicle, this is going in underneath the rear. So as you can see, I have the PPF frame right here that I'll actually go underneath this bolt and just go up with that, or that PPF frame in general. That's fine to pick up from the rear. As for the front, you can go underneath the front cross member that's right there. What I have found, and by front cross member, I mean right here. Right here. And so what I mean by that, what I generally find is that my car lowered, I can't actually access that rear or that front cross member. So the way that I access it, I usually get into the jack point for the front. I'll jack one side of the front end up from the standard jack point, and then I will actually go into the front core support area and jack it up the rest of the way and get the full front of the car under or up. As for the front and rear, you'll see that there's two lines that actually, two lines that indicate where the jack points are. That's applicable on the rear as well. So you have those same two features there as well. Okay, now I'm underneath the vehicle, the front versus towards the rear. And what I have right here, that is your oil drain plug. So we're gonna go ahead, crack that little guy loose. As long as I can get the darn thing to loosen. Here we go. Let's go ahead and crack it. Should never be too tight. Of course I say that. There we go. Have my filter or my pan. And let's see what comes out of here. Usually it's pretty nasty and dark coming out of the Miata. It's always good to spill a bunch on your floor. It helps. It's fantastic. As for the NC Miata drain plug, you can see there is not a crush washer. It is a singular just bolt that actually goes in play. I generally just clean it up with a paper towel and then put it right back in. Okay, now comes the worst part of the entire thing. I am now pretty far back. I'm underneath where the transmission meets the engine, and that is the beautiful location of where they actually put the oil filter. Now, again, I actually don't like to get my oil filters super tight. I don't think that anyone should. I'm going to go ahead and remove that just with my oil filter wrench. I don't think I'll be able to record this, so I'll catch back after it's removed. Okay, so now we've got oil out of the car, oil filter removed. Let's go ahead and go to the next step. Putting in our oil filter. Now, you've probably seen this on the internet 1,000 times. Everybody's going to have a slightly different way of doing it. The way that I like to do it is I get a little bit of oil right in my cap by just turning it upside down, dip my finger in there, after I've made sure to wipe off my hands at bare minimum, if not going ahead and washing them, because you don't want too many contaminants in the oil. Go through and just rub this guy down, making sure that the O-ring is appropriately applied with oil. If you go in with a completely dry gasket, it'll dry rot, extremely quickly and cause an oil leak. And then guess what you get to do? Another oil change essentially immediately. Alrighty. So that should be enough on there. Now again, it's not about baking it in or going nuts with it. It's just enough so that it's able to appropriately get that seal. Now that I've got that back in, I'll go ahead and just set it right back in the oil filter. And that's it. Alrighty, putting my oil filter back in place. You can see the little nipple right there on the back of the engine. I get it on personally. I do hand tight. I do not use my filter wrench. I go as hand tight as I physically can. If you go any tighter than that, you'll basically break the seal between the gasket and the metal. And it helps to appropriately thread it on. There it goes. All right, so now she's on. All right, that should be good. There's my AC Delco. Alrighty, and last but not least, we just have to tighten down our drain plug. There may be an appropriate amount that you're supposed to do it as far as foot-pounds. I have found that in my experience on other cars, as long as you get it appropriately torqued, not going nuts, you're generally fine. All right, now we get the actual fun part, if you will, getting it ready to go. So, got some 5W30, again, just the royal purple that I like to use. Make sure that your oil filter and that your drain plug are both in tightly. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and start pouring. I generally put in, a little bit, and then I always check underneath. I have no oil leaks, so I'll keep going. Now remember, I've got a 2.5 in here. 2.5 per the group in the forums that I've read through. I need 4.9 quarts as long as you're also replacing the filter. I don't know anybody that doesn't replace a filter at the same time that they do an oil change. So we're gonna do 4.9 quarts. Nice and steady. One thing to note, I use this funnel for a lot of different cars using a lot of different viscosities of oil. Make sure that you wipe it out appropriately. Last thing you want is either contaminants from your garage getting in or other oils or whatever else may be going through this. All right, we are probably about 80% of the way there. Nice and slow going in. Again, this is 5 quarts, so I just want to have a tiny bit left. Need a little bit more. A little bit more. That should be about right. Make sure, let's just wipe it off. What I do with my paper towels, stay there. Perfect. It's literally at the lowest possible line on there. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm gonna take off my filler neck. Just wipe it out real quick. For me, I have kind of a corner in the garage it goes in, so I don't really care too much. Let's go ahead and wipe that off. Put our 5W20 cap back on for the 5W30 oil that I just put in. We're all good there, and we're set. Now, again, you're looking at the top of the 2.5. So as I was saying a second ago, here's your oil filter cap or oil filler cap. This is the Goodwin Racing chassis brace. I find that it does a far better job than the stock one. I did notice a difference having had that with the 2.5, didn't notice it as much with the 2 liter. But everything else should be straightforward. The 2.5 is just an inch or two taller than how the 2-liter sits in there. Otherwise, it's completely stock looking. All right, so final thoughts on the oil change for the 2.5 NC. It's really not any harder than it is for the 2-liter. Obviously, the amount changes a little bit, and the oil, depending on how you're driving the car, you may want to think about actually changing. Obviously, I went with a 5W30. It's a thicker oil. I think it'll do a better job for what my intention is. However, for others, that may not be the case. In general, it is a messy job. There is no perfect way, and I've tried to do it a number of different ways, but you will get a little bit of oil on you. You will realistically spill a little bit of oil. Primarily due to the oil filter location, I really don't have any issue with where the drain plug is. It's entirely related to that oil filter. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to upload or showcase some drone footage that I'm trying to learn how to take. As you'll probably see, I'm still very much in the beginning stages of learning how to do photography, especially with the subject in mind. But please enjoy the B-roll that follows. Thank you.